Everyone. Welcome to this video about this month's full moon and lunar eclipse in Taurus. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California. So in this video, we're going to tell you about this eclipse, including what it will feel like, when it's happening, and the best ways to handle it.
And if you're curious about planetary activity in your own chart, in a little bit, I'll give you a way to find out more live and in person. This is the second eclipse this month. It's a lunar eclipse this time, which means the moon is being eclipsed by the Earth's shadow. Here's the moon, here's the sun opposite to it, with the idea that the Earth is in between. The Earth is blocking the sun's light from reaching the moon. All eclipses show us our shadow, but a lunar eclipse specifically shows us our shadow through how we feel, through our emotions. It can be a very internal experience, not displayed in our outward expression like a solar eclipse is, but only felt inside ourselves. So we're shown our shadow through how we feel, and notice that there's a lot of water in this chart. We have a Grand Trine, in fact, a sun in Scorpio right here, Saturn in Pisces over here, Vesta in Cancer over there, and it's a Grand Trine, and all these water-placed planets are in strong agreement. Feelings and intuition are important to them, but their weakness is dependency or even codependency. That's the fatal flaw of water. And notice that the sun is near the south node right there, while the moon, the eclipsed planet, is near the north node. That makes this an initializing eclipse. It's a north node eclipse rather than a releasing one, which is a south node eclipse. This eclipse is focused more on pressing on into a new destiny path and less on dropping the ballast of the past. But the south node being quite near the sun, it's actually extremely near the sun. This definitely suggests that there is ballast and emotional baggage that does need to be released here so that the self-reliant moon in Taurus can forge ahead. Now, this is a lot of different thoughts, and it is a complicated moon, this one, but how do they all come together? They connect around the idea of letting go of dependency and moving towards self-sufficiency and following your heart to that self-sufficiency. Be sufficient unto yourself because it feels right. What do you think, Julia, about this lunar eclipse in Taurus at the North Node?
Well, I think self-sufficiency was a great word to describe what's going on here. With the Taurus and Scorpio axis, this is a financial axis. It can be rather a material lunar eclipse because the moon is in the sign of Taurus, which loves the material world very deeply and loves its own security as well. And what you were mentioning about emotional, being wary of the emotional codependence, being wary of that shadow side, because we have the south node there and all this water. So yeah, I think it's a combination of maybe finding some more emotional self-sufficiency with material self-sufficiency. If there's that trine coming from Juno, which is a asteroid of partnership. So it's not that you necessarily have to do everything on your own, but maybe you can get into a position where you feel like you're either contributing, in equal measure to a partnership or some type of relationship, or that you know that you've got everything that you need to exist just fine on your own. You've got practical Saturn in there, and then a very focused Vesta. Finding what needs to be released so that you can feel more self-sufficient on both an emotional and material level.
Yeah, it's all about balance between the emotional and material, I think. And it has a lot to do with these several other planets that are contributing to the dynamic as a whole, which is so largely harmonious. Saturn and Vesta, especially in combination, have such a focusing effect. And here, placed in water signs, they can focus emotions, which can have also a side effect of deepening bonds. The result is there's a definite feeling here that if you take steps towards your own self-sufficiency, particularly financially, as you mentioned, Julia, you may have to cut a bond you have with someone, like a spouse or a family member. Leaning into the good feeling of standing on your own is pro-evolutionary. And we know this because of that moon conjunct North Node here, moon in Taurus with the North Node. And the North Node shows us the path forward, the path towards destiny and evolution. And then when it comes to this lovely trine that the moon has over here to Juno, as you mentioned, Juno is the archetypal spouse or mate. So that suggests that marriage can actually help us towards independence. Our spouse could help us become more independent by even agreeing to our greater independence or facilitating it in some way that allows us to kind of separate into a healthier, less codependent situation. And there's so much harmony here overall. Like when we look at this opposition between the sun and the moon has a sextile, a trine, another sextile. The sun has a trine and a sextile and another trine. And so loads of harmony. So this doesn't even have to be the most painful eclipse around. It's really not that painful at all. Even though lunar eclipses tend to be accompanied by a painful look at shadow emotions you don't want to look at every day, this one is a very softened and even nurturing form of that. You might find that the bond you're releasing is more than ready for this release, and that the connection you had with the family member you depended on before is an even better connection after you become independent. And that can mean financially independent, emotionally independent, or both. Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fun, but they don't go very deep, really. If you want depth and personal clues, you'll want to join our monthly live workshop where you can talk with a real astrologer about your own chart. This month's topic is undergoing Pluto transformations with power and grace, because Pluto transits feel like a long, dark night of the soul, and psychological death and rebirth is hard for all of us. In the workshop, I'll explain how to navigate these biggest of all life's changes smoothly. This workshop is expressly for our Demigod Patreon subscribers who pay only $15 a month for access to live events like this one. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Julia, you want to throw anything else in there?
Yeah, just that North Node in Aries, is like what you said, bringing a sense of independence in there. And with that Moon in Taurus, whether it's financial independence, whether it's just maybe moving out of the house and getting your own physical space away from it all, if it's leaving home or getting your own room, even in a marriage, so you can have space to yourself. But there is a sense of claiming and owning and feeling independent through something material that's going to support you emotionally as well.
Yep, for sure. Well, let me add who's going to be the most impacted by this moon. Obviously, it will impact fixed signs in your chart, anything that you may have at all between 0 and 10 degrees of any fixed sign, and these being the fixed signs. Those sides of you will feel this moon. And when it comes down to birthdays that will feel this will be Tauruses born April 20th to 30th, Leos born July 23rd to August 3rd, Scorpios born October 23rd to November 3rd, and Aquarians born January 20th to 30th.
Well, that's all for today. In this video, we gave you a lot of clues about this eclipse and how you can handle it for best results. And we really love making these videos for you. And if you love them too, then please hit that like button.
You can find out so much more about how astrological influences affect you specifically in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.